All right, hello and welcome to this episode of the Worth Watching podcast. Today, as our guest, we have Annie, who I'm sure you all remember from our 300 Rise of an Empire review episode. Annie, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about a topic that she actually brought up, which is useless side characters in movies and how darn often they crop up in everything. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So since you're the one who had this idea, how about you start by talking about something?
All right. So I think I first noticed it when I watched my favorite Disney movie, which was Mulan. The cricket in the movie, Cricky, I think immediately, Cricky, I don't even know his name.
No, I think Cricky is his name, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, immediately, it kind of, I hate to say this because a lot of people like his character. To me, I found him really annoying because it was just a very pointless character who was there and didn't need to be. So
right, and I think and the odd thing is because I think if you asked people like off the top of their heads to name the most annoying character in Mulan, they're gonna say the dragon. Oh gosh, what's his name? Mushu, right?
Mushu, yep.
Yeah. Even though, but he does serve a purpose in the end. You know, he's definitely there for a reason. Whereas I get what you're saying, which is more so than being like an annoying character, Cricky just has no purpose in Mulan. He doesn't actually serve a purpose overall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One of the characters I did a little research into this, just a little bit. I found out the more I thought about it, that there are a lot of movies that have these useless characters, and that one of the most frequent types are anyone who's non-human. Generally, like the non-human sidekick tends to be a character, sometimes, not always, who's really not there for any reason. And I want to differentiate here, because you had a friend who said that Olaf from Frozen was an unnecessary character.
Yes.
And you and I both disagree with that because Olaf was there for comic relief. Without him, the movie wouldn't have felt as full and complete, I think. So I'm not talking about comic relief characters because that's a purpose. I'm not talking about moral compass characters like that, people who provide that. All I'm talking about is, I think what we're kind of talking about is people who are there really for no discernible reason and could just as easily be left out. And one of those characters that I can think of is from one of my favorite movies, Aliens. This is the James Cameron sequel to the original Alien, the action movie one. And that's Private Hudson, played by Bill Paxton. He really does nothing for the entire movie. All he does is annoy people and just stand around. And if that's the only purpose of your character, I don't think you're necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
And you had another character.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, I might get a lot of haters for this, but I think the Little Mermaid, Flounder, was a really pointless character. In fact, of course he's lovable. Of course I enjoyed him in the movie. I just noticed if he was taken out, there would have been no effect to the story. He was just kind of like the fearful, shy little character in it, so that was another example.
Well, not to mention he's always getting into trouble.
Yeah.
and see, that's I think a good point, because you could try to make the argument that he's there as sort of the plot mechanism to get the Little Mermaid into trouble, but she gets herself into trouble. You don't need an extra plot mechanism in there to get her into trouble.
Exactly.
And you have Sebastian the Crab, who is her moral compass. He's the one who's trying to guide her to do the right thing. And so, as you were saying, Flounder kind of fits in this awkward middle space of what is he really doing there in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
For sure. Now, okay.
And, these characters you don't only see in movies either. I hate to say this, but as a video game lover, Final Fantasy 13-2 has a character named Kupo, and I don't even know what he is. He's like a flying teddy bear kind of thing with no eyes, kind of scary.
Although he's supposed to be cute, right?
He's supposed to be cute, and I can totally see the cute out of him, but the whole time I was playing the game, I just really wanted to stab him in the face because he was he was just really annoying, and one of those characters that was even worse than the stupid characters you see in Disney movies and stuff. He was just obnoxious and had no point at all.
Right, and I think that's I will say, and I think you have a point, is that these characters don't always just appear in movies. I'm sure we could find them in books and in classic books too. I'm sure. And that's really the thing, is that it's not necessarily saying that the movie's a bad film if you have a pointless character in it. It seems to be something that almost everyone does, at least at some point. For instance, I actually I'm gonna get a little bit controversial here, if you don't mind, because we've mostly been talking, like you said, about characters who are extremely obnoxious and annoying and stand out as not serving a purpose.
Yeah.
This is one who is one of my favorite characters in the movie that I'm going to talk about. He is, a lot of people think he's awesome. I think he's awesome. And I only just recently, once actually you brought this up, I only started realizing how little purpose he actually serves. Because again, he's such a pleasant character for the movie and really fills out the cast well, that you don't realize that he doesn't have a point. And that is, if you ask someone who is the most pointlessly, just not necessary character of the Star Wars franchise, the instant, easy scapegoat answer is Jar Jar Binks, because everyone hates Jar Jar Binks. I don't think I know a single person who actually likes Jar Jar Binks. Even like little kids these days have learned that Jar Jar Binks is horrible. But that's not who I'm going to talk about. That would be the easy choice. But I thought of someone who actually serves, in my opinion, less of a purpose to the plot than Jar Jar Binks does, but is, of course, a far more pleasant character. So again, because I know I'm going to get hate for this, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm not dissing this character, because I absolutely love them. And that is, at least in episode 4 and 5, C-3PO. Yeah, I'm just going to wait for you all to scream at your computer screens for a second. Okay, so C-3PO he doesn't do anything in episodes 4 and 5. The one thing that he does is convince Luke and Owen to buy R2-D2, who is actually a far more useful character. R2-D2 relays the message, the distress message from Princess Leia, and he helps shut down the garbage compactor. He also, I believe, he does a lot of things to help them out through the first couple episodes, whereas C-3PO is really just there to get angry at R2-D2 and to pointlessly warn the other characters about things that they really don't need to be warned about, such as the odds of surviving an asteroid field. So it's just, again, I love his character. I think he's awesome, but he really is actually kind of not there for much of a reason.
Yeah, actually, now that you point that out, I absolutely see that, and I agree with you. I love the character, loved him then, loved him now, still.
Oh, yeah,
but I very much agree that he didn't have a point, really.
And I think, by the time episode 6 came around, they'd written in some plot points for him, but I'm specifically talking about A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back here. The fact that he really just doesn't do much. But and now that's an example where I think a useless character, who doesn't exactly serve a point, works just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you were talking about in Final Fantasy 13 that you felt that Kupo actually was detrimental to the storyline and really hurt a very important scene in the game.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for people who haven't played this. We're going to get into some spoiler territory here.
If you have not played 13.2, please stop listening. At the end of this video game, Sarah, the main character, dies, and it's supposed to be this really epic scene between her and her friend Noel, and it would have been so epic, but then Kupo, of course, had to be there. He had to say something really stupid and completely ruin the scene for me, so I already hated him to begin with, and then he had to go and ruin the most epic scene of the whole video game. But, that's just a stunning example that some characters go too far.
Well, right, and that's the thing is that I think, and that's something that happens for a lot of, even background characters can do that. I mean, it reminds me of what happened in the Dark Knight, which is a scene that a lot of people make fun of, is I think it's when Harvey Dent is about to turn himself in as Batman, I believe. You have this police officer standing at the back of the room who just shouts, "No more dead cops!" in this weird voice, and it completely just brought everyone I was watching it with out of the scene, and it's something that a lot of people make fun of now for just being a bad line of dialogue and delivered very poorly. But in this case, you have an entire, in your case of Kupo, you have an entire character built around being sort of funny and obnoxious and weird, and that's, I guess. I think what we're noticing here is a lot of these characters are non-human characters. They're not only that, they're kind of the cute non-human characters. Like if you look at Sebastian the Crab, in Little Mermaid, he's a crab. He's not cute. He has an adult voice. He's there as like the moral guidance. Whereas Flounder is this poofy little high-pitched voiced fish. And, as you said, Kupo is like a flying teddy bear with a big nose. So I don't know. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think they're there to not just like fill spaces and fill characters, but I also think they're supposed to be cute because, especially like in Disney movies, children grow attached to those characters even though they're pointless because they're cute.
Well, it's something they can imagine, holding in stuffed animal form.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right, and I think that's acceptable in Disney movies because, again, they're kids' movies. And so here's what I'm trying to say, is I think that these characters sometimes seem to fit into this void of being the obligatory cute character. They have no other purpose other than to be cute. And again, this doesn't obviously apply for people like Private Hudson in Aliens, but for these non-human characters such as Kupo and Flounder and Cricky. But I'm wondering if that is a real niche for a character, or if it really only should solely exist in Disney movies and children's movies in general. Because do you really need a cute character who serves no other purpose?
In my personal opinion, as a child, I really loved all the stupid, cute, pointless characters.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is in Disney movies, it makes perfect sense. But outside of that, for instance, in Final Fantasy 13 too.
Outside of which, completely useless. I think I very much would have enjoyed Final Fantasy 13 too without Kupo. It would have been so much better in my personal opinion. And I'm sure the movies you listed too would have been better.
Well, imagine. Let's picture Saving Private Ryan, where Captain Miller is dragging around this little puppy through the whole thing, and the puppy just. That would have ruined the movie if you had the obligatory cute character in Saving Private Ryan. And that's what I think we're kind of getting at here, is that there is a time and place for the adorable side characters, and one that there's also not a time and place for them depending on your medium. All right, thank you very much, Annie, for joining us today. Again, if you guys liked her in this, you should check out our episode of our review of 300: Rise of an Empire. If you guys liked the video, leave a like, comment on what you think of pointless side characters, whether you like them, don't like them, who's your favorite, least favorite. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.